Hi, everybody. I wanted to do a sort of market update, how things are doing in the real estate market, given what's happening with the COVID-19 and how that's affecting things. So I'm scooched to the side here because I want to stick some charts up to show you sort of what's happening, what realtors are seeing out there, as this might help you decide what you're trying to do. Do you need to sell your house? Do you want to buy? Are you trying to time that given what's happening? So let's jump into it. I've got my notes here because there's way too many stats for me to memorize. So the first one is, how is the real estate market doing during this pandemic? So this was a study that the NAR, the National Association of Realtors, did, and it was conducted to ask realtors what are they seeing. So they said, this is nationally, what are buyers' attitudes and how have they shifted due to Corona? 43% said the buyers are delaying their process a couple of months. 19% said their buyers stopped looking due to concern about job or job loss. And 12% said no change. So what we're seeing here is 2/3 of buyers are still looking, some are just delayed. The next question, are buyers expecting lower home prices? 64% said yes. 18 said yes, less than 5%, 25%, 5 to 10%, and 7%, 11 to 15% decreases. So spoiler alert, we're going to ask sellers that same question later. So what do you think? Do you think sellers agree? So spoiler alert. Okay, so what we're seeing is that buyers do think that prices are going to go down, and most people's are less than 5% or 5 to 10%. I would say we are seeing that a little bit in this area, but not a lot. We're still seeing places that are having multiples. We're still seeing escalation clauses, but if a house has been sitting or isn't necessarily perfect or whatnot, you might see a slight decrease off what they would have got in maybe the traditional spring market. So now let's talk about the seller side. So how has Corona changed your clients' attitudes towards selling their home? 51% are delaying the process a couple of months. 17% said they're going to continue, but they're relying on virtual communications. So what we're seeing here is that half of the buyers are delaying and half of the sellers are delaying. So assuming that those, since this is national, are in the same area, basically what you're seeing is the overall size of the market has decreased, but you're still seeing that same ratio. Sellers don't want to sell at the same rate that buyers don't want to buy. So we're still seeing serious sellers, serious buyers in the market doing real estate transactions. So whereas before you might have seen a house come on the market in some hot DC neighborhood and you might have got 5 offers, now you may get 1 offer, but it's full price and no or low contingencies. So you might not necessarily see the same competition or the same number of offers, but you're not necessarily seeing some drastic change in saleability, time it takes to sell, or the price that it's going to sell for. Obviously, that is dependent on which market we're talking about. That was just a DC hot market example. All right, so the next one was, have any of your sellers recently reduced the price to attract buyers? So 76% said no. 15% said yes, less than 5%, and 7% said yes by 5 to 10%. So as you can see, significantly sellers are not wanting to decrease the price because of Corona. And buyers do want it. I mean, this is exactly what you'd expect. Sellers like, my house is worth no less just because of Corona. You should still want to pay market value. And buyers are saying, yeah, but it's Corona. So those two forces are always pulling in opposite directions anyway. This is just highlighting it in a funny way. So are closings happening on time? So 35% no closing delays, 33% delays due to financing, and 28% buyer no longer qualifies due to job loss. That's pretty much what I'm seeing here. If it takes longer to get the appraisal back, or if it's longer because the financing takes a little bit longer because they have to jump through extra rechecks and things like that. And with everybody sort of working remote and all of that, things have slowed down a little bit. but I haven't really seen my closings during Corona weren't delayed. Both of I would say both of the lenders I've most recently talked to, I'm not really seeing significant delays on their end, but obviously job loss is probably like the hardest, saddest part other than the actual health/death side of Corona. I mean, you know, there are a significant portion of the population's been laid off, and so obviously that's a big impact. So I would say probably the biggest impact that we've seen is the increase in unemployment and what that means for people about buying, selling, and so forth. If you look at unemployment claims since March 14th, so all of these stats, I just want to say, start from mid-March when this started to the end of April. That's what these stats kind of cover. So it says unemployment claims since March 14th out of 52 states in the district, DC ranked 19th, Maryland 46, and Virginia 43. All right, so now let's go from national level statistics and jump into the DC local real estate information. So new active listings, they follow a seasonal pattern. What we're gonna do here is compare what happened in 2019 to what's happening now. So DC new listings is up 7% at the beginning of March, but then down 37% by April 19th. So the beginning of March, meaning before Corona, we were up over last year 7%. And now we are down 21.6% in DC this year compared to 2019. It could be worse. Pittsburgh is down by 68%. So I would say the DC area, as we typically see, does tend to get a little bit sheltered compared to other parts of the nation. Pendings are down, but they have reversed. So we think that pendings are a better indicator of what's happening right now, because that's literally transactions right now, things going under contract. And so you can get a real-time kind of idea of what's happening. So showings for the first 2 weeks of April were down 38% compared to last year, but it is getting better. We were back up 70% of last year towards the end of April. So obviously it's still down, but not down by as much. So what I think we could say here is the first 2 weeks of April were really hard. Showings were extremely far down, and pendings went down, new listings went down, buyers, were delaying. So that would be our big down period. And now we're starting to see in the DC area, things starting to ramp back up. And I think that if you're in the market right now, you probably feel that and can sense that. And I did want to just kind of conclude with Dr. Lawrence Young's thoughts on how is the real estate market as a nation going to end. His prediction, based off of the data that he has right now, based on unemployment trends, the data he's looking at, is that we are going to end the whole year down 10 to 15%, but that our prices are going to be up 2 to 3% because there is a lack of inventory, and this is going to keep prices going up, especially since if sellers do pull out from the market and there are less sales, there's even tighter inventory. So while the market will be down, prices will still be up. So this is where we're at right now. I'm filming this in the beginning of May. So this is our end of April sort of look at where things are. Obviously, we're going to be really interested to see what happens over the next month, 2 months, etc., especially as areas start to open up. I'm located in Montgomery County in Maryland, so we are starting to see the beginnings of openings in Maryland, but we are not in my county yet because we're not significantly improved enough to start opening, unlike some of the other parts of Maryland that are doing better than, say, Montgomery County and PG County, even parts of Baltimore. So that's where we're at right now. When things have significantly changed enough again to really give you some interesting new trends, I will come back and update you.